These books I went into not expecting to love them, and in the end I loved them a lot more than I did. So let's talk about my most surprising books of 2021. Hello lovely book dragons, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Joanna and I love to talk about books on this channel, specifically fantasy books with a tiny little bit of dash of romance every once in a while, you know, palate cleanser. And today I want to talk to you about my most surprising books of 2021. These are books that I went into kind of like with tempered expectation, you know, like okay, I'm gonna read this. I don't think it's gonna be a 5-star. I think it's gonna be like meh, an okay book, but not my favorite. And then I ended up really having a wonderful time and even sometimes loving them. So let's talk about those books. The first book I want to mention here is a self-pub book, and I didn't know what to expect about self-published books. This was the first self-published book I picked up, and what a treat, and that is Voice of War by Zack Argyle. I have a review of the first two books on the channel, so I will leave it linked up here. These books are so fun, and they are beautiful. Beautiful is a word that, I don't know, the visuals that I have when I read these books is just, I don't know, because it has a lot to do with light. It feels like, I just see it in my head, I cannot tell you, but it's just so beautiful, and I love the characters, I love the plot, I love so much of this series. I also, of course, read the second book in the series, so I can kind of put both of these here, like the Third Light series by Zack Argyle. Super surprising read. I still think about those books all the time, and they read so fast. I'm probably just gonna reread them before the third book comes out, which should be coming out this year, I think. But point is, I had a wonderful time reading them. They read so fast, they were so immersive. Such an amazing series to use as a palate cleanser as well, because the books aren't huge, and you get to know the characters, and the plot progresses really fast, and it's just like the lore is amazing. I just love everything. I love this series. Honestly, I loved it. I think I gave the first one 4 stars or 4.5, and then the second one either 4.5 or 5 stars. I don't remember, but I love them. There is, of course, as you can tell on the cover of the second book, an animal companion aspect to this, and I love it. Another book that was a huge surprise for me was Guards by Terry Pratchett. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I just picked it up because Gregory and Joana were reading it, and I was going to be a part of that live show, and I decided, you know what, it's time to pick up some Pratchett. I picked it up and I had a wonderful time. I thought that book was just so whimsical, so funny, and like, I don't know, just the way Pratchett writes, his way with it's just something out of this world. I had such a great time. I don't know why I haven't continued. You'll ask, like, if you loved it so much, why didn't you continue? I have no idea why I didn't continue, why I haven't continued yet. I think because those books have a certain feel to them, and I have to be in the mood to pick them up. And if there's something I've learned last year is that I need to follow the mood. So I haven't continued on yet, but I did love Guards. I will leave my review linked up here. I was also part of that live show that I mentioned, so I will leave that in the description of this video so you can check it out. Guards, absolutely surprised. I didn't think I was going to like it, and I ended up loving it. Another book, and this is the one that has been like, the series has been everywhere on my channel lately, that is Scent and Sense by Josiah Bancroft. Again, I have a review. Wow, I don't need to talk forever because I have reviews for all these, a concept. I will leave my review up here as well. Scent and Sense was a book where, I heard it was weird, and I don't like weird books. However, I have learned in 2021 that I did love weird books, because Senlin and Piranesi, 2 books that seemed very weird and I ended up loving. Scent and Sense was one of my biggest surprises. I honestly didn't think this was gonna work for me. I don't know. The concept of a man going to this Tower of Babel and then losing his wife and searching for her, I was like, how can that be good? How can that be good? It can't. It just can't. And I loved it. I gave Sandland 5 stars. I immediately picked up Armor of the Sphinx right after I was done. 5 stars. Made it to my favorite book of the year. And then I read, a little bit later in the year, I read Hot King, which I read in June, and I had a good time with that one as well. And then unfortunately Fall of Babel fell flat, which you probably saw in my most disappointing books of the year, which was my previous video to this. So unfortunately the series didn't end on a high note for me, but Scent and Sense definitely made it to my most surprising books of the year, and something that I really love. Another book that was really surprising, and this one was one of my last reads of the year. I just picked it up because of the show. And so you know what it is. It's The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. My story with Wheel of Time is that I started the first book, The Eye of the World, at the beginning of 2020. When I had a broken leg. Yes, that's what it was. Beginning of 2020, I picked it up, and it read so slowly. I just couldn't, because I was in pain and because I was just stuck at home waiting for my leg to heal. I needed something more fast-paced, and so I had to put it down. I did read the first 200 pages, but I was having a good time, but it's just like, it didn't fit what I needed to do at the time. So I put it down, and then some of my friends got me the first 7 books, which are right behind me right here. They got me the first 7 books, and I was like, whew, okay, that's a commitment. Like, if I don't like them, I have 7 books that I don't like. So I've just kind of been pushing it off. And the more time went on, the less interested I was in reading The Wheel of Time. And I kept on putting The Eye of the World on so many TBRs. And then I thought, you know what? I'm just not going to read them. I'm just going to watch the show because I originally wanted to read the first 3 books before the show came out, or first 2 books before the show came out. I was like, I'm just going to watch the show. And that's it. I'm never going to read the books. It's fine. I started watching the show and I fell in love with the show. It just made me want to read all the time. It made me want to watch it. I love fantasy in every format, and especially in TV. I love fantasy. So I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. So we were at episode 7. And every episode I was like, oh, should I just stop now and not get spoiled and then read the book? And then I was like, no, I'm just going to watch the next episode. And then I was at episode 7. And I messaged my friend Sophia and I was like, Sophia, is there something huge that happens at the end of Eye of the World, which you would assume because it's the ending of a book, but still, that could be spoiled in the next episode, that would be too bad to know before you read the book? And she said yes. So I said, okay, I have 1 week to read this book before the next episode comes out. So I'm going to do that. And I did that. I read The Eye of the World in 1 week, which was a big book, but I did it. And I gave it 4.5 stars. I absolutely love the book. Yes, there are some flaws with it, with like the very slow parts and the repetitiveness of Rand and Matt's journey. But I watched a discussion that Andy and Hillary had. I will leave it linked in the description of this video. I think Andy was saying that the whole, oh, we're being betrayed by dark friends and blah, 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 and oh, and it's so repetitive until they get to Camelot. And Hillary said to that it does, she understands the feeling of it's so repetitive, but it kind of drives home the fact that there's no place where we're safe. And that is what I felt with that book. I felt like, yes, it was repetitive, but it served its purpose of these characters, they were just never safe. And I didn't feel that complaint of like it was super repetitive. I am so interested. I'm currently reading The Great Hunt, which I'm having such a good time with. I don't know, I wasn't expecting to like Wheel of Time. I wasn't expecting to like The Eye of the World. I was fully expecting to read that first book and say, it's a DNF, I'm going to unhaul the books that I have. And no, I am having such a wonderful time. And now I'm so sad because I cannot get the other books in that format. So I'm going to have the half of the series in those new stupid covers with the Amazon Prime sticker. Eye of the World, huge surprise. Next up, I want to put my only thriller that I have of the year, and then it's a sci-fi book. So let's do the thriller. And that is They Never Learn by Lucy Foley is no, that's not her name. I don't remember the name of the author, but you can see it right here. This book I also have a somewhat review of because I was reading it in my Dark Academia deep dive. So I will leave that linked up here as well. This book, I just didn't know what to expect, and I picked it up and I read it in 2 days, I think. It was compulsive. I just couldn't put it down. It was amazing. I had such a good time with this. This is basically the story of a professor who kills men who have wronged women at some point in time. The second perspective we follow is a girl who is going to college, and she leaves her abusive father behind and goes to school and kind of makes friendships there, and has this roommate who really gets herself into trouble and starts dating all these men that are really weird to her. And you see this protagonist trying to figure out how to help her friends and how to balance her school work, because her life at home was a mess. So now she kind of is coming into herself because she doesn't have her parents looming over her, but also she has to help her friends. And so we kind of follow those two perspectives in this book. And I had such a wonderful time. I thought this was just such a good book. And even though I know the twist, I feel like this is something I would still reread just because of, I don't know, I just really liked it. I thought it was a ton of fun. And the final book on this list is going to be a sci-fi book. And this is also one, as the theme of this video suggests, that I didn't think I was going to love, and that is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I really thought this was going to be super boring. This is a slice of life sci-fi, and my knowledge of sci-fi is so limited. I haven't read a lot of sci-fi before, so I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what kind of sci-fi I liked, and this one really worked. I was listening to the audiobook, which I think is what ultimately made it work so well, because the audiobook was so well done. And in this one, we just follow a bunch of characters who are on this spaceship, honestly, and they go on missions. And that's kind of it. Like, they then go into like a very difficult mission, if I remember correctly. But I don't know, I just loved the characters and following them and their interactions. That's all there was to it. And I know that for some people that doesn't work and they find this super boring and they put it down, which I get, but for me it worked. I had a good time. I also have a video where I talk more in depth. This is awesome. I can just link everything and you can have my my in-depth reviews or thoughts on these books in other videos. It's amazing. I have a video where I talk about this. I don't know if I still have cards. Then I'll leave a link down below or in the cards, wherever it works. And that was a TBR swap with Sophia. So that's why I read this one. And there you can see my full in-depth thoughts, which is why we can keep this video short and sweet, because I had reviews for most of them. Wow. So yeah, there you go, guys. Those are the books that I didn't think I was gonna love. There are a few others, namely, I didn't think I was gonna love A Court of Silver Flames. I didn't think I was gonna love The Heroes by Joe Abercrombie, and I did, both of them. One because I didn't like Nesta, the other because I don't typically like military fantasy, and I absolutely ended up loving both of those, give both of those 5 stars. But I didn't want to put them as like core part of this video because I love both of those authors. So even though I don't really love either a character that we're following or a setting, I still love the authors, so the chances of me loving those books were pretty high. But those could also be a part of this video. But yeah, those were the books. Let me know in the comments down below what were some that you didn't expect to love and completely took you by surprise. I will say, I do want to say this before I leave you, my most surprising book of the year was Pure Nacy by Susanna Clarke, but that one made it onto my favorites of the year. But that one was absolutely the one that surprised me the most. That was the book that I was always seeing in other people's videos, and I was like, I never want to read that. And then I read it and it made it onto my favorites. So that was my most surprising book of the year, but also a favorite. That's gonna be it for me today. Let me know in the comments down below your most surprising read of the year. And if you just want to let me know that you were here, leave a dragon emoji. And I will see you in my next video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and stay safe and happy reading. Bye.